Is it possible for blind people to find love? Of course it is. That's a no-brainer. There's proof of it out there, easy to find. But why am I talking about this? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they're diagnosed with a retinal disease or they're diagnosed with a disability or anything that affects the vision or your sense of self-worth through like a medical diagnosis, I think one of the main thoughts that come up in people's minds is, am I going to find and attract someone with my disability or blindness? And the answer is yes, but I understand that feeling. I felt that feeling. I'm married right now, but I've always felt that feeling ever since I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa when I was like 12 years old. So with that said, I want to give some advice. And again, I'm just one person, but hey, I am married. I want to give some advice to people on what I feel like they should do if they want to attract a romantic partner, if they are someone who is blind or visually impaired, and just in the low vision community in general. And let's get into it. First thing I'm going to talk about is income. You will need some sort of source of income. You will need a job. Preferably, you will have a career path. You know, I think people in general, when they're in the dating pool, if you meet someone and they have a career path they're on, it kind of shows that they're serious about something and they're working towards something, and that's respectable to other people. And the next one's going to be physical health. You need to go get a physical done. You need to get blood work done. You need to make sure that everything in your body is working as it's supposed to. And I know our eyes don't work like they're supposed to, but you can get the rest of your body hopefully to work as it's supposed to its best ability. And if that requires, losing some weight, maybe getting on some medication, maybe changing your diet, maybe hitting the gym a lot more, building more muscle mass. But anyways, you want to get your physical health. You want to optimize that to its best of its ability. It's never worked against somebody to be in shape. And the next thing I'm going to say is mental health. Do you feel good about yourself? Do you respect yourself? What's your outlook on life? Do you have a lot of trauma that you've buried that you're not dealing with? Do you suffer from depression? Do you suffer from anxiety? If so, how can you learn to manage those things? So that way you actually will be able to go out into the world and present yourself as someone who is mentally sound as well as physically sound, like I just talked about. And these are obvious, but I'm going to keep moving through this list. But the next one is grooming and hygiene. You want to not stink. You want to have white teeth if possible. You want to take care of your appearance. If you're a dude, you want to make sure you have a nice haircut or long hair or just whatever look you're going for. If you want to be clean shaved, grow a beard, whatever it is. I know I'm not the best example right now because I'm growing this weird beard. My wife absolutely hates this though, which goes back to my point. You need to be well groomed. The next one kind of ties into, the looking good, feeling good type of thing. And it's fashion. You want to have a sense of fashion. You want to have some nice clothes. I'm not talking expensive clothes. You can go to Target and get some really nice outfits. But, you just want a classic pair of blue jeans and a white t-shirt that fits you well. Like that'll work. My point is you need to have some clothes that make you look put together, that they're not from like 10 years ago. They don't have holes in them. They're not from a different decade of fashion. Like, for example, if you're a dude and you're still wearing tall tees, I don't know if that's going to work in your favor. Like if you're a male and you wear glasses, have a modern pair of glasses. Don't have a pair that looks like it came out in the 90s. The next thing I'm going to say is hobbies. You need hobbies. You need to have hobbies that serve you. This podcast is a hobby of mine, but I also go to the gym. I also like to go on walks with my dog. I like to go to concerts. I like to go out to dinner. I'm interested in tennis. I used to play tennis. I like to travel. Basically, you need to have interest in things you're interested in. I'm real big into stand-up comedy. I go to stand-up comedy shows. But you need hobbies to kind of fulfill you, make you well-rounded. And these hobbies will serve you in the sense that when you're conversing with someone that you're romantically interested in, you need to have things to talk about. You need to have stories to tell. You need to have things that are interesting to you. You need to know facts to bring up. Oh, you like this? Well, I like that. Did you see this? Well, I saw that. You need to have material ready to go back and forth. And then you also need to know what you're looking for. If you don't know what makes you you and what is interesting to you, and you meet somebody, how are you going to know they're interesting to you? Let me give an example. Let's say you're like super big into aliens and UFOs, and you've been following them since a kid, and then you're on a date or you're out in public and a friend of yours has brought someone near you who's potentially single, and then they start talking about aliens. Now your antenna's going up and you're like, oh, she likes aliens or he likes aliens. That could work for me. I like that. And then you bring up conversations. Now you and that person are hitting it off. That's a dumb example, but it's an example that works. And then the last thing I'm going to say is independence. You need to be as independent as possible. You need to basically come across as if I don't need you. You know, it sounds harsh, but you need to basically have that kind of vibe. I don't need anyone. I'm okay on my own. I'm happy on my own. I can get to where I need to go on my own. I'm not desperate to have you help me. You need to come across as someone like, hey, I got my shit on lock. I'm good either way. If I meet someone, I'm good. If I don't meet someone, I'm good. I got my shit figured out. I'm happy being who I am, and I'm happy living my life. And then that will kind of attract others because they're like, oh, okay. This person's not going to cling on to me. This person already has their shit together. And if anything, we can just make each other's lives better and add to it. Basically, you don't want someone to think that, you know, they're signing up to be your caretaker. That's what you don't want to present as. It's like, hey, do you want to marry me so you can be my caretaker? No, that's not sexy. That doesn't work. No one wants that. All right, well, that's all the tips I have to say. And I want to say this, and you probably realize this already. These tips work for anyone. That's what's so funny about this, is that what I just said works for anyone. It's general advice because guess what? You're just a blind person. You're just a visually impaired person. You have other shit you can present yourself as. You have other stuff you can sell. And I hate to make it sound like it's a marketable type of thing, but in a way it is. So if you're someone who's blind or visually impaired and you feel like you're struggling to find romance, then I would consider you to think of yourself as someone who's not blind or visually impaired. And I know there's flaws to that way of thinking because, for example, you know, there's 70% of the blindness community is unemployed. And that's a big thing in the dating world, especially for men. You know, what's your income? What are you bringing in? So there are clear disadvantages. As a man, if you're visually impaired and you can't drive, you need to kind of plan ahead, you know, get an Uber to where your date is, you know, those types of things. So there are clear disadvantages that make it harder. I'm not denying those. Those are 100% real. But I think if you work on those other elements of your life, it'll help you bring more to the table. And I also think it'll just make you a happier person if you are single. No single person is going to fulfill your life. There's not anyone in the world as beautiful as they are, as nice as they are, that's going to fully complete you as a person. And the last thing I'll say is, and you have to be prepared for this, there are going to be people out there who are not into the idea of dating someone who is blind or low vision or disabled. Those type of people are out there and they're in large numbers. But you don't want those people. You know, they're not going to be your type of person. But I'm just saying that is a true thing to think about and look in the mirror and kind of just take on and accept as a truth. And you just have to admit that your dating pool is smaller because of that. And it just is what it is. So yeah, there are true disadvantages, but I do strongly believe that someone is out there for you. You just have to work hard at it. Be the best version of yourself. Stay persistent in your pursuits and just have fun in the process of becoming a better version of you and seeing what it attracts and what comes along with it. Long story short is, before you begin dating, just make sure you're happy with yourself. Make sure you're healthy, both mentally and physically, and you got your life together. It's all about presenting yourself as someone who is growing. And hell, they may even want to meet you today and grow with you. But as long as you can present yourself as someone who is growing and has aspirations and is trying, and you're a good person with a good soul, you're gonna find someone. I think that's all I can really say. I think I'm starting to repeat myself. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments. Let me know if you disagree, agree in the comments. And thanks for listening.